bone that we are going to discuss today is radius. So first of all, we are going to discuss the side of this bone. How do we know that this is the bone of the left side or the right side? So first of all, we'll look at the two ends of this long bone. This is the upper end, the circular one, and this is the lower end, which is flattened from side to side. This is the shaft. So for this is decided that the upper end is rounded and the lower end is flattened and irregular. Then the shaft has a radial tuberosity that is lying medially. So we can also put it like this and it is still medial. But how do we know that this is of the left side or the right side? We will look at the lower end. The lower end is flattened anteriorly, and if we look at the posterior side of the lower end, we see that there is a tubercle called the dorsal tubercle of Lister on the posterior side, and it has multiple grooves on the lower end of the posterior side. So this is the lower end having grooves on the posterior side. So if we put it posteriorly, now we know that this is the bone of the left side. How? The upper end, the lower end with flattened side facing forwards and the radial tuberosity facing medially. So this is the bone of the left side. Now we'll discuss the bony features of this bone one by one. First of all, let's discuss the upper end. The upper end of radius is rounded all around, and the superior surface is concave, and it articulates with the capitulum of the humerus to form the wrist joint. Then this circumference of the upper end, this is covered with annular ligament. On the medial side of the upper end, this part articulates with the radial notch, which is present on the ulna. So here the upper superior radioulnar joint is formed. Then coming downwards, we see a tuberosity that is called the radial tuberosity. The radial tuberosity is facing medially, as I've mentioned earlier. Now coming down, we see the shaft. The shaft has three borders. Starting from the anterior side, this is the anterior border, which is going obliquely downwards. So this is the anterior border. This is the sharp medial or interosseous border. And if we turn it posteriorly, this is the posterior border. So anterior border has this obliquity, which is called the anterior oblique line. And likewise, the posterior border has an obliquity, which is called the posterior oblique line. And this sharp medial border is where the interosseous membrane is attached, and it connects this part from the lateral side of lateral border of the ulna. Now coming to the lower end, as I have mentioned earlier, is irregular. It is flattened anteriorly and posteriorly. It has multiple grooves and this tubercle of Lister. This pointed lateral side of the lower end is called the styloid process. And if we look at the medial side of the lower end, there is this this notch which forms the inferior radioulnar joint. This is the ulnar notch. It articulates with ulna to form the lower or inferior radioulnar joint. Now if we look at the inferior lower surface of the lower end, what we see here is at this area, the lateral side, it articulates with scaphoid bone, the carpal bone, and this medial side of the lower end articulates with lunate bone, which is another carpal bone. So these two bones, this lower end of radius along with part of ulna lower end forms the wrist joint. So this is about the, and coming to the surfaces, this is the anterior surface. Anterior surface is very flat and here, and the radial artery, we can palpate the radial artery at this point, the anterior surface. This is the posterior surface and this is the lateral surface. Now we will briefly discuss the attachments on this bone. First of all, the upper end. The upper end circumference is gives attachment to the annular ligament. And at this point, just below the annular ligament, this is the neck of the radius. It gives an attachment to the quadrate ligament. The radial tuberosity gives attachment to the biceps brachii muscle. Now coming to the lateral surface, we have three muscles attached to the lateral surface. The uppermost part of the lateral surface gives attachment to supinator. The middle part of the lateral surface gives attachment to pronator teres here, and the lowermost part of the lateral surface gives attachment to the brachioradialis muscle. Now coming to the anterior surface, the anterior oblique line gives attachment to flexor digitorum superficialis muscle. The middle part gives attachment to flexor pollicis longus muscle, and this anterior flattened area gives attachment to the pronator quadratus muscle. Now if we turn this bone like this is the posterior surface. It gives attachment to two muscles, the abductor pollicis longus and the extensor pollicis brevis muscle. Now we will discuss the various grooves which are present on the lower end of the radius. These grooves give passage to various extensor tendons of the forearm. Starting from the first groove, which the landmark of first groove is the area of the styloid process. The first groove gives passage to the abductor pollicis longus and extensor pollicis brevis muscle. The second groove on this side of the dorsal tubercle of Lister gives a passage to the extensor carpi radialis longus and extensor carpi radialis brevis. Now the third groove gives a passage to the extensor pollicis longus, and the fourth groove gives passage to the extensor digitorum and the extensor indicis muscle. So these are the four grooves on the posterior side of the lower end of radius, which gives passage to the various extensor muscles of the forearm. So this is all about the radius, bony features and attachments. I hope I was concise. Thank you.